You're tired of sneezing.
What sneeze that was. I mean, really? Would you like that in front of your face? No, you would not. Especially with COVID-19, with coronaviruses, and with the common cold, because that's not a nice thing to have at any time but at the winter time of the year when people are snivelling all around you. You certainly don't want it, even before all of that. But the great thing is science now is finding that there can be a cure to this common cold. And here's how. So for the very first time, give these guys a medal. They have found out that the viruses like the polio virus and the common cold virus, quote unquote, package up their genetic code, allowing them to infect cells. So if you package up something, what happens? You put it all together. Well, what do you put together? You can put loads of things together, but of course, if you get cold, it's something bad that's there, isn't it? And if you're putting more of it into a package, it's more and more bad things together. And if it's packaged, you'd imagine it's going to be more powerful. And then, of course, once it goes into one person, it goes achoo, and it goes into another person. The findings they published, though, in early January 2021 in the journal PLOS Pathogens by a team from the Universitas of Leeds, not Leeds United, the great football team, in England and York, open up the possibility that drugs don't work, as they say in the old song, but drugs or antiviral agents can be developed. There's a possibility of a cure here that would stop such infections. Now, isn't that wonderful? Isn't it brilliant, too, that they're saying this? Now there's a possibility. So what they've figured out, here's the hard science of it. Quote unquote, once cell is infected, right, a virus needs to spread its genetic material. So virus is like a bad person that is genetically built. Why? Because they have come from other bad people, theoretically, right? And so they have to spread. In other words, like human beings, like we've figured out in COVID-19, people have to mingle, don't they? They have to mingle, they have to dance, they have to see each other, have to talk. It's human nature. So these viruses have to spread. This is one thing they have to do. Now, this is a complex process involving creation of what is known as virions, newly formed infectious copies of the virus, right? Each virion is a protein shell containing a complete copy of the virus's genetic code. Now, these can then infect other cells and cause disease. So it's a thing where like proteins are really strong. If we want to get very, very strong and go to the gym and just get our muscles all big and bulky, we got to be taking lots and lots of proteins into our diet. We need protein. That's what builds on our body and gives us strong things. And strong things, of course, are muscles. But these things are strong as muscles and bigger. And they have genetic codes, so they're actually coded from birth to actually kill and to actually infect people. This is how deadly these things are. And each one of these now, they're saying, can affect other cells and cause disease. Now, they're saying it needs to infect and spread. This is its one numero uno job. It's one job. Remember, the great scientists of this world have many jobs. They might be parents, they might be brothers, they might be sisters, they might be daughters. And they might be helping other people or doing part-time jobs or even being a student when they figure this out. But these viruses have one job, and what they're doing is they're spreading like wildfire. So this is a complex process, as they said. Professor Peter Stockley from the director of Asbury Centre for Structural Molecular Biology at Leeds, who took supervised research with Professor Ridion Tworok from York, said, quote unquote, this study is extremely important because of the way it shifts our thinking. It shifts our thinking about how we can control some of viral diseases. If we can disrupt the mechanism of virion formation, then there is the potential to stop an infection in its tracks. That's really cool, isn't it? Stop an infection in its tracks. So that means that not only can you stop the common cold, but presumably all these geniuses that now seem to be these scientists, and all that they're kind of finding out, I suppose, on the back of COVID-19, is that they can actually stop all the, shall we say, less harmful diseases like common colds, And that means all these guys that are learning all these things in the younger days, presumably, will bring all that new knowledge to the table when it comes to bigger things like more coronaviruses. So that's wonderful. But of course, as vaccines get out there with coronaviruses, and there's other things to worry about. There's other health issues, isn't there? There's our own day-to-day health, our mental health, our physical health, and we're all trying to just keep going along, trying to improve in life, naturally enough. And by going out there and just even breathing in the air, we're always going to be in the way of some sort of flu or cold or something. So we have to figure out and not forget what's behind it all and try and figure out, well, am I actually just getting the common cold here rather than a virus like a coronavirus? So we have to know the differences between coughs, colds, and flus, and even flus and COVID 19 or coronaviruses. Lots of people, when they're brought up and growing up, they think they have the flu. But in reality, all they had was a cold. And that's not as deadly because a flu is a deadly thing. We forget this all the time because we've had vaccines and older people have taken vaccines for years now. But it's a deadly thing. So we have to know the differences between a cold, the common cold, and it's common because it's a cold, and the symptoms of influenza that is, and coronaviruses or COVID 19. Now, here's the thing, there's very slight differences, and in fact, some of the things are similar one to the other. So on the left of this particular chart, you'll see that you've got COVID 19 symptoms. Then in the middle, you've got common cold, and on the right hand side, you've got influenza or the flu. So there's quite a few things here that are similar. So let's run through the COVID 19 things. You've got fever or chills, and of course, hey, common cold. It's only the common cold. Sure, look, I don't need any type of testing for COVID 19. But believe it or not, fever or chills could be actually what you have, and it could be just the common cold. Same thing with influenza, fever and chills. That's strange. Cough, they say, for COVID 19. Oh no, I have the COVID 19. And yes, you could actually have a cough for the common cold, but it could be something as bad as influenza as well. So there are two things, fever and chills and coughs, that are similar. If we look at the common cold and say, right, what are the regular things since I was born to feel if I felt I had a cold coming on? Sore throat. Oh, jeepers, I have a sore throat. That's horrible. I hate a sore throat. I've had many of them in the past. But you know what? You could also be getting the flu if it's a different type of sore throat. And then the same thing for COVID 19, the sore throat. So there's another thing that's common. Congestion or runny nose. Now, here's a bit of a difference, you'd think, because I never mentioned this at the very beginning of COVID 19. But congestion or runny nose actually could lead to a influenza or could be a common cold, but also could be COVID 19. Then you're talking about sneezing. Of course, if you had that runny nose in the first place, it's probably going to be sneezing going on. And yes, sneezing is a thing of the common cold. We all know that. Achoo, achoo. But also, it is not, here's the thing, it is not generally, according to what we're seeing here, a part of the influenza package of things. Nor is it part of COVID 19. So if you're sneezing and you've got all the things, the fevers, chills, coughs, sore throats, congestions, or runny nose, then, my friend, you might have a common cold and not COVID 19. And of course, if we think of a common cold from the point of view of sneezing, often we sneeze first, don't we? We kind of get the cold in us. And when we feel the cold, it kind of goes through our body, creates a sneeze, and then we get the runny nose, fever, and so on. The other things, of course, to look out for are diarrhea. These are the different ones, and that's for influenza, on top of all those things. Watery eyes, more so for cold, nausea or vomit for diarrhea, for influenza even. But then the deadly things, of course, of diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting could also be for COVID 19. So this, I suppose, is why we cannot at any time take the common cold things as not being COVID 19, but also we can't jump to conclusions either. The common cold is not COVID 19 or is. It's confusing, isn't it? So we just have to look after ourselves, and prevention is always better than cure. But if you have that runny nose, according to what it's saying here, you more than likely have a cold. Not so bad. Anyway, we have hope for the future. So let's make sure we are well for it. We can watch more videos. Maybe this one. Maybe another one. Anyway, Hope you've enjoyed this one for now. And until next time, please hit that button, subscribe, and have a wonderful cold-free, certainly COVID-free day.